Ever since I was a young and I was into rapping 20 years later and I'm still here yapping. Guess I got so much to say, so I'm trying to educate all of us. I hope together we can elevate. Time flies and our life is moving so fast. What's the forecast? Good vibes to be broadcast. So come and chill with me as we let the bad vibes blow past. This is Shout Out Podcast.
Welcome to the Shout Out Podcast. I hope everyone is doing good and keeping safe. Today we have a guest that I actually met him quite a few years ago when my dog was sick and my dog had to be tended to, and then he was taken very good care of by this man. He's a assistant surgeon with the Animal Husbandry and Veterinary Services and also has his private clinic. Dr. Michael, thank you for being with us.
Thank you for
I hope you've been good. I just want to start with just recently you said, this was I think just last week, right? You had gone to Wokha for a job that required, was it Wokha?
No, yesterday I had gone up to Doyapur also.
Doyapur,
treat
okay.
an elephant. So my job.
I mean, I want to get into your job later, but can you just tell me what happened recently? Like that Doyapur. What can you tell us something about the incident? You had to treat an elephant.
Yes.
What had happened to the elephant and sort of?
Actually, it's a female elephant.
Okay.
She had given birth. We call it calving.
Okay.
So she had given birth few days back, and the owner reported that she was not, having a loss of appetite, not eating. So they had rushed down around 8 or 9 o'clock at night.
Oh.
So we had to rush up. We had attended with some of my colleagues who had just passed out.
Okay.
We were doing the interns.
Okay. And so all well and good, the elephant, I hope.
Yeah, she's on medication.
Okay.
I'm keeping tab on it.
Okay. It's very interesting. For me, I'm fascinated with animals and wildlife. So I think I'm going to be very fascinated with today's conversation. But besides that, right now, we'll get into that later, like I said, in detail. But how has this whole situation been the past 1.5 years, 2 years with the pandemic? How has life been for you during this time?
I should say God has been very gracious. He has kept us safe, good health, despite all those raging pandemic going on.
Right.
And it has been actually a blessing where, a time for us to reflect our lives.
So true.
Yeah.
I think even that's something that happened to me also. It gave us a chance to just introspect, and I think I realized that we take all the small things for granted, and like family is not small obviously, but the people that we see every day, and sometimes you lose the track of how important they are and stuff like that. Yeah. What about work during this pandemic period? Your clinic was running, or was it shut? Or
yes, I've been attending to some of my official duties also.
Okay.
Where I had to go treat animals, then outbreak of diseases. So I had to rush to several places to investigate, to treat animals. It was almost treating the sick patients, the sick animals. It was an everyday affair.
Okay. But this was with the government side, right?
Yes, government side as well as my...
Or your private?
Okay. In between, I had to attend to patients, private people who had come to me. So,
what we do in this podcast is that in the beginning, because I want the audience to get to know you, a little better, we ask the guests to start way at the beginning. So like your childhood, how it was growing up during your days, and any experiences, funny or sad or whatever it may be. You can just share some with us. How was life growing up?
You see, our childhood had more of a physical interaction with the nature, unlike the kids nowadays.
True.
We had a lot of outdoor activities. Back then we had no mobile, no laptops or whatever.
Yes, yes.
So it was more of a connect with the nature during the days. So we had really fun, especially outdoors, cycling or whatever, football, whatever sports or games, trekking.
You were brought up in Dimapur, or?
I was born in Mokchung.
Okay.
I did part of my schooling because my parents were posted there.
Okay.
They lived there. So I did part of my education in Mokchung, then part of my education in Shillong during 80s.
Okay.
So I was there, then I did come back, did again part of the schooling in Nagaland. So
okay. So you moved around quite a bit when you were young, no?
yes.
How was Shillong? You studied there like boarding or
Boarding school.
Okay. How was your experience? Because you must have been quite young that time.
Yes.
How was it moving? I mean, like living away from home and being in school.
Yeah, initially we did have homesick.
Yeah.
When we see our friends' parents coming, we feel that that urge to go home. Missing our parents.
Right.
But as I reflect back now, I feel that was one good thing, because we learned from one of the best teachers. Way back, we had very good teachers those days. Some were Irish, Scottish brothers.
I'm assuming this was Edmonds or?
No, I was in Kiddie's Corner.
Okay.
We had teachers from various backgrounds.
Interesting. Because I was also shipped off to boarding school at a very young age, so I just know the experience. But I think what you said is true also. It's like were many Nagas there, because I know lots of Nagas were in Shillong. Like
most of the students were Nagas and Mizos.
Okay. Right. So when I was I went earliest like second grade, class 2, like that, and but I think it was a very enriching experience, like different communities and learning from other other people's perspectives on how they look at life and stuff. But going back to your schooling, you came back to Dimapur eventually after your Shillong stint.
Partly Mokchung and partly Dimapur.
Okay, so you're all over the place.
Yes.
How did this so at that point of time, when we're kids, we have so many different goals, ambitions, and we want to be this and that. What were your sort of goals that time when you were a little younger?
Actually, since those days, I wanted to become a doctor itself.
Okay. A vet in particular, or just
a doctor?
Okay.
We didn't have those big pictures. Just doctor means doctor.
Yeah.
I had that interest.
Okay. So that's nice. It's very rare that someone from that age who is like has a goal and then they proceed, because many of the other guests who've come on, including myself also, our goals and ambitions have changed so many times along our our growing up stages. Yeah. So that where did that stem from, like you wanting to be a doctor? Was it like parents' influence, or how did that?
No, I just became interested. I was fascinated.
Okay. Is there like a story behind why, like?
Nothing as such, but I was just fascinated, being a doctor, treating patients, and whatever, those kind of things.
So by the time you're getting into college and all, now you're like focused on, like you want to become a doctor only, right?
Yes.
So where did you do your studies from later, like
I did
after you finished school?
Yeah, I did my PU from Science College, famous Science College.
Right.
Then my graduation from Govt, College of Veterinary Science, Khanapura.
Okay.
And the masters from here.
Okay. When was this? When did you finish your final studies? Which year was this around?
I had finished my internship in the month of December 2003.
Okay.
Then March 2004, we were given the professional certificate.
Okay. And this was where was this done? Here in?
No, that was in Guwahati.
In Guwahati. After that, okay. Getting into your profession, right? So like now your studies are done. That's all completed. You were telling me earlier that the government part came later, right?
Yes.
You initially started with. So tell me the thought process behind, like, opening your own animal. It's the animal health care.
Yes, it's animal concern.
Animal concern.
Yes.
Forgive me. But starting this clinic, what was your thought process behind that? Did you really want to do that? Were you trying to get into a government service, or what was going on?
No, actually, initially I was not interested in government service.
Okay.
So, just after my graduation, I was offered a job in Africa in one of the national parks.
Oh, that's interesting.
But when I, thought over it, people, there are a lot of brain drain. People going out. You study 5 years, you study all your best part, then you give your best part to somebody else. Develop somebody else's areas. So I was of the thought that no, let me stay back, let me do something, at least even if it's a very small thing, let me contribute to my people.
Okay.
Then I stayed back. Then I decided, I told my parents I wanted to open a clinic.
When which year was this when you first opened the clinic?
2004 April.
2004 April. Okay. And were there many other clinics?
There was only one clinic besides that.
Which was that?
It was in Purana Bazaar. It was one of my senior was running that.
Okay.
But now he has closed down, and this makes me the oldest.
The oldest now.
The senior
Okay.
most. Yes.
And but of late, like recently, so many clinics have come up,
Yes.
right? Like
so many of our colleagues, younger colleagues have
Right.
opened up.
I know a
And it's
few
good.
also. Yeah.
It's good to see them, venturing this.
Because there's something I think I don't know if you'll call it a trend, but keeping pets, and this thing is you've seen the spike over the years, right?
Yes.
Back then it was we just keep a lot of people kept pets, but now people are raising like good breeds of whatever animals it may be, and the demand is, I guess, increasing
Yes.
for more clinics to be there. So coming back to yours, how was the initial journey of your clinic?
It was actually just before I opened the clinic, I was attached to one of the oldest pharmacy. I was one of the consultant. So in the process, I was interacting with those people who comes to buy medicines, and then I go to their houses, home visits. In that way, I saw the potential and the gap between the demand
And the supply,
whatever
or the
supply. Yes.
need, yes.
So I thought, okay, let me open up. So I took the step. My parents have been very supportive, and some of my family members also.
How was those days, the early part of your clinic? What was like? I'm just curious to know about, like, were there a lot of patients with like fancy breeds back then also? I think
No.
it would be very limited.
It
no?
was very limited.
Yeah.
We mostly had those local, breeds. But slowly caught up. Now,
Nowadays we have like almost every breed, right? I've seen.
yes. The only thing is that I want people to at least consult the vets of which breed they should bring in. Because I've seen,
Right.
people bringing in breeds which does not suit our weather.
Yes.
And I've seen them suffer. Even as we suffer treating them, we face a lot of problems. But they had already started with that breed.
Yeah, I'm totally aware of this about, especially with the weather factor. We've seen a lot of breeds that are definitely not meant to be raised in a weather climate like Dimapur's, and but there's still quite a few of them like around.
It has been a long journey, interesting journey. All these years, and especially a profession. It's, if you're adventurous, then it's very interesting. And unlike many of the fields, vets are very versatile.
Are very
Versatile.
Okay.
They need to be
Mm-hmm.
a surgeon. They need to be. They have to be a ops and gynae, specialist. They need to be a medicine specialist. You have to, even if you're a mere graduate, you have to combine everything, do everything of your own, instead of relying because many times we don't get those facilities, especially in the rural areas.
Correct. So you have to be hands-on to everything.
Very versatile.
Can you tell us like some very interesting, funny stories about your experiences with your clinic? Some weird, funny cases or something, anything, or your toughest challenges?
I would say the funniest part was, when you go to tranquilize an elephant.
Okay.
Especially during this period, June, July, the elephant usually comes into moth. The male elephants,
Right.
That,
Testosterone
testosterone level goes up, and then they try to even kill the mahouts, or they break free.
Very violent, right?
Very violent. So during those episodes, when we are called with the wildlife division personnel, we usually go into the jungle, trying to tranquilize the elephant. So it's a very funny picture when you really think after you finish your task.
Okay, but a dangerous one also,
Yes,
like while executing, right? Yeah, this I was coming to this also. I wanted to start with the private side, your clinic, but this is something I find very interesting because we're friends on Facebook and social media, and I've seen your updates that like I'm in a jungle somewhere tranquilizing an elephant, right? So I found that very fascinating. What other okay, before we get into that, let's start with like because that is part of your government's job, right? As a
people, when we were in the hospital, they also come. Even if we are not attached to the hospital, they come.
Okay.
Because this part of the world, there are only one or two vets who venture into this particular field.
Okay.
So if anything happens with the elephant, they come looking for us.
So but regarding your entry into government service, which year was that? Like, because you are a vet assistant surgeon.
Yes.
With the Animal Husbandry and Veterinary Services.
It was during the year 2006.
2006. Also, it was not long after you opened your clinic and you got into that. How is that part of the job? Your because you were telling me it contains field work, office work, everything, right? Like
yes. See, it depends on where you're posted.
And you're posted right now.
Right now, I'm in the field.
Okay.
As a field officer.
Oh, field officer.
Yes,
Okay.
I look after two offices. So I keep shuttling between those two offices now and then, weekly basis. And then wherever my senior officers or colleagues, they want, our help, we help them out, or they send us to other places where you're not even posted. For example, I'm somewhere posted in Kohobuto area and Kakabuto area.
Okay.
But if anything comes up in Metsipima area or Dhansiripar or Tuyapur area,
you're called upon.
Yes.
So that means you're saying that there is a shortage of manpower in this field, or
yes. Basically, it's like this. We are facing that problem because of the ban in job creation. The post, because the government faces a lot of those financial
right. So the people is there, but the opportunities are not there. Is what you're saying? Like the jobs are not there, available. Yeah. So what would you say, like breaking down in ratio, like which time, how much time are you giving to your government service and to your private practice? 50-50, 60.
See, when I go to the government offices, then once I'm free, I can do any I attend to any patient or anything, anyone that comes to us.
But which takes more of a toll on you, the private or the government?
Both.
Okay. Just one thing I want to ask you, because since you're a vet, I mean, I told you earlier, I'm fascinated with animals and wildlife and such, but I have to admit that I'm very fond of hunting also. And not, I haven't gone hunting for a long time, but like when I was a kid, we used to go like very frequently. So as a vet, I want to know your opinion on hunting in Nagaland. Do you think, what is your opinion on it? Because I have a few things to say also. What is your general opinion on hunting in Nagaland?
See, if we look into our background, our forefathers have been hunting for generations. You cannot stop that. But what we can do is we can regulate hunting, and you can enforce. The government can enforce, and then say that you cannot hunt this kind of animals. Certain,
like make a list of
certain
endangered
species,
species, sort of. Yes.
So in that way, the government can, in coordination with the local bodies, the village councils.
Right. Regarding this, I also I feel that yes, like maybe we Nagas have gone like overboard with the hunting and sort of decimated our wildlife to a large extent. But not to use the excuse of our tradition and what it was, but I think, like how you said, if we regulate it properly, then why not? It can be still continued for people to just keep that intact of how like our forefathers survived on hunting, true hunting. And one example I'll use is I think the village of Konoma was one of the first who start that banning the hunting and opening a certain period for hunting, and that has worked very effectively. I think maybe you'll know more about that.
Yes, see, it depends on the leadership and how they make the people understand, educate them.
Right.
That goes parallel. If the leadership is bad, even if you try to educate, that doesn't make sense.
True. Yes.
So both has to be parallel. And I really appreciate what Konoma village has been doing, and the people there, they have been very cooperative, and does the in that way you get a lot of focus, international focus, national focus, whatever.
Yes.
And a lot of opportunities coming up for the youths, unemployed.
True. I think and also we've seen the results of like preservation of wildlife. Now we're seeing, like, I've heard stories of besides when they open for hunting, like when it's the close season, now you're just seeing wildlife sometimes cross the roads, which that is a very rare sight in Nagaland, right? Because of what we've done in the past. Another thing I wanted to discuss with you, since you're a vet again, is also the whole fiasco. I think that was around last year, right? When the whole ban on dog meat, it started with sale of dog meat, then even selling consumption also. I think, yeah. What is your opinion on this? I had a very strong opinion on this, but I want to know yours. I want to start with.
See, there have been a lot of pressures, especially with the animal rights activists, activism, and all those things. I believe we had not done our homework properly when we had imposed the ban. And then Nagas as such, our nature.
Right.
We are so vocal in whatever small things.
True.
To make a lot of noise. But right from the first place, I think we had not done the proper homework.
So you also disagree with this ban, right? Or what's your personal stance on it?
There has to be some regulations, plus minus, advantage, disadvantage.
Right.
So you have to make the people understand first. You cannot enforce so many things. And as we see, Nagas, if you try to enforce so suddenly, we are not going to.
The backlash is,
we don't take it very gently. So, we need to educate people first, and we end that process. We are just on the learning process.
Right.
We're still way behind. So in that way, we need to proceed, and then make people understand. Then all those things because it just came so suddenly.
Right. Yeah, I remember.
So we were not prepared mentally.
The issue I had with this was that this whole incident started from, I think it was the abuse of animals, right?
Yes.
It started from there.
It started from there.
Yeah. So my whole thing, my take on this was that it should be focusing on animal, like stopping animal abuse and that aspect of it, instead of trying to dictate what people should eat and not eat. That was my opinion. Like, it just took a sharp turn because it started from that
Yes.
the killing of dogs.
First of all, you see how, as you rightly said, you just go to the market, especially the supermarket area, you see how dogs are being bound.
True.
True. That's actually very cruel. Binding their mouth, put them in a sack in such hot weathers. It's just torture.
That is. I totally agree with that.
So the government has to come up with a regulation where, just like the other meat, pork or beef or thing, those kind of regulations where you have breeding centers, the more human way.
I totally agree with that. That it should be done in a humane way, whatever. But I also very strongly have an opinion that, although I don't take dog meat, but I know a lot of Nagas do, dictating what we can or eat, that will lead down to a very dangerous path, like later on. I was telling some of my people who were very vocal about this because like if they ever decide to ban pork, then you don't have the right to complain anymore because you're agreeing with what happened in the past, right? Like,
I don't blame the people in the authority. They are also under a lot of pressure.
Right? That's what I felt. It was that action was taken more out of pressure from, like how you were saying, the big watchdogs, the ones at the center, or maybe even internationally. I think that action was sort of taken from there, right? The knee-jerk reaction.
I personally feel that it should not be dictated, but we should be more rational, more human in whatever we do.
True. We were talking about this. I think this is going to be an interesting topic because both you and I agree on this, and this is something that I think is a raging topic and conversation that happens when a lot of us are we're just with our friends or family even, and we always talk about this. And I think it's something that needs to be addressed, which is our alcohol situation, especially with the Nagaland Liquor Total Prohibition Act, the NLTP Act. There's so many things to talk about. I just want to start off with what is in general, and then we'll go specifically in like with revenue, health, all that. But what is your just first very general opinion on the NLTP Act?
First of all, I will say that this act has really failed us.
100% agree.
Really failed. The government has not been able to implement totally, and even the church has no solution to that. They have been very vocal in banning the alcohol users, but they had not come up with any suggestions. What I feel to solve the problem,
tackle the issue. Yes.
So here we are. You know the situation. What's going on in the state.
So exactly. I mean, it's like you said. We know the situation. Everyone knows that it's flowing freely, and it's a very hypocritical situation that we're in right now.
Definitely, I think we should stop this hypocrisy.
Yeah,
very soon.
I agree. It's very archaic, right? Like the law that, and I mean the NLTP Act. That's what I feel. Just for example, I always take like the country of US.
Definitely.
And their
Absolutely.
all-out attempt at prohibition and how they failed miserably. But before they lifted prohibition, they gave rise to bootlegging empires of like, the famous Al Capone, all those people. And you saw how big they grew, notorious.
Yes.
And I guess we're seeing a similar trend here also. And maybe it's never too late. So I think,
you see, any government that comes, when they enact laws or legislations, I'm sure they had very good thing
Intentions.
in mind.
Yeah, I definitely agree
Yes.
with that. Yeah.
But as we see the happenings now, it has not served the purpose. So what I feel is, let us stop being hypocrites. Let us review and then decide what has to be done. You see, as you said, like the Al Capones, syndicates have come up.
Exactly. Yeah.
They're controlling the market.
Yeah.
Every few hundreds, you see a liquor shop in the guise of the one or the other.
Yeah. Yes. So I think this is something that it's like an open secret. Everyone knows about it, but I don't understand why it's not brought into the limelight more. This whole issue. We are nowhere close to being a dry state as the law suggests we should be. The NLTP Act, and that joke that runs forever is that we're the wettest dry state in India. I mean, it's right now the whole NLTP Act is just a joke right now, because like you said, every 100 meters throughout the whole entire state, we know how readily available it is. And this leads to one thing that I want to talk about, which is the health issue, because we are all very aware also of the spurious liquor that is making its way, and how people are grabbing the opportunity because of this ban, this act, to be producing spurious liquor, and how it's being it's a big threat, because people are making the decision to drink, that's their own decision, but they're being sold very dangerous products.
See, as we know, you're all Christians. The Bible does not enforce things. God has given us a free will to decide what is good, bad for us, each one of us. You try to ban as much as possible, and human psychology says that the more you prohibit, the more you ban, it becomes more charming, more attractive. So that's how human psychology goes. Now, in our case, it's been so many years. I remember, I think it was during 1985, 86, somewhere like that, the ban came into force.
89, I think.
Yes, 89, sorry. 89, yes. So, since then, we have lost lives due to alcohol abuse. It has not made things better. We started getting more spurious liquors in the market.
Huge amounts.
Just
yes.
And if you go to other states where they're legislated, I mean, you go to those states, you see people buying small amounts, because it's easily available. Here we see, we feel that we may not get those, next time we come. So we buy in bulks. We see people buying in bulks, even if a small amount will do.
Yes.
But they keep on doing that. That's the psychology, see. And the more amount you buy, you're putting in more spurious things into your, and the health factor comes in.
Yes. I mean, I don't want to point fingers at anyone, whether it's the government or whoever. Like, I don't want to point fingers, but this NLTP Act is a direct, the result out of the NLTP Act is the reality is that spurious liquor is flowing in our state, and yes, you can judge people because they drink or they don't drink, but that's their choice, but they are drinking, and they're the intake of the spurious liquor it's a big threat, because I remember there were no, I won't say no cases, some people have over abused it, but usually people who used to drink, the older generations they've lived a long life. You get the point I'm trying to make, right? Because I don't think that was existent then, because the ban was not even in place. But these days now you're seeing young people, many cases of young people dying or falling very sick, and I don't think it's to do with the amount of alcohol they've consumed, but rather the product that's in the bottles, So I think this is a big issue that needs to be addressed.
I feel it's not only the product, but it's also the discipline. See,
Yeah, that is also there.
That's-
That is. I agree with that. Yeah.
the younger generations, I feel, they are less disciplined than the older folks.
That I agree.
So that also comes into the picture.
That is also there. Yes. Regarding the revenue aspect of it, like, what is your opinion on this? Because I'll add a few things, but I just want to know yours, because a lot of the people always say that by having this act in place, which is not even working at the slightest, all the possible revenue is all going to our neighboring state, Assam, the Lahorijan areas or whatever. So what about this factor, like the revenue factor? Because as we know, our state is always short of funds. We're always in a financial crunch.
Yes.
So
Definitely, the state is the government is losing those revenues which we are supposed to be enjoying. But the thing is, forget about the revenue. Let us not make a joke of ourselves. Let us stop being hypocrites.
right.
That is
Your main,
Yes.
main issue, right? Yeah. Because it doesn't look good for us also, right? Like, I totally get that. I want to just discuss, like I said, your main issue is that you don't want this bad look for Nagaland with us being hypocritical. But also I want to talk about things like the revenue also. Just want to add one thing about the revenue. I don't know if you're aware of this, but like some numbers came up, and Assam, I think they were doing like 75 crores daily sales of, and the government's revenue from that will be whatever percentage, each state differs, but, and of course the size and population difference of our states are very different, but the numbers that some people were just working out on was like, it can be anywhere in the region of like 500 crores revenue annually for Nagaland, which is a big amount for a small state like ours. So I think that is something that
Yes.
should also be factored in when we make this debate about should the NLTP Act be removed, right?
Definitely. The state government, as I said, the state government is losing a lot of revenue because in each state, the highest amount of taxes you get is through the excise duties or whatever,
Right.
and the sales tax. So the government is surely losing a lot of
A lot
huge
of
amount.
Yes, I
which
totally agree with
we
that.
were supposed to get, put that use into some development activities.
This, I think, I don't know how this has to be taken forward, but we're just doing our bit by talking on a public platform and trying to educate the people on. We're not trying to enforce our opinion, but just speaking our minds. And I don't know how this should be taken forward. Like, who does the responsibility lie on? It can't just be the government, because they're also under a lot of pressure from many different sectors of society, not to make sure that the NLTP Act is still in place. How do we go about it if you were to give a solution? Let me put you on the spot like that.
See, the first thing is, it's the government. If they're determined to do anything, they can do it. What they can do is, you take the other, civil societies or churches into conference.
Yes.
Call for a conference by the government. You ask them, what do you think? Discuss the pros and cons. And then make them understand. I'm sure there'll be people who will oppose, but at the end of the day, you should be doing what is best for the people.
Right. So this leads me to
society.
my point about I'm pretty sure the biggest opposition is usually from the church also, and our state being dominated with Christians. Do you think the government is afraid of the blowback, like of if they go ahead with this, regardless of what other people say, and they decide to uplift do you think they are afraid of that, effect, and that they won't be elected into power next time because of this act?
maybe they know best. Maybe.
Yeah, I mean that's how I personally
Yeah.
feel. Like, you know, they are playing it very safe and they don't want to get entangled with this.
We don't want to blame anyone in the government.
Yeah, that's not the intention.
Yes.
It's not to blame people, but,
But
what can we do about it now?
The thing is, I think it's high time the government should put their heads together, the policy makers, and decide what is best. And I feel lifting is one of the best options, personally.
I definitely agree also. Like you just said, personally, this is just our personal opinion. Like, you know, the audience, everyone has the right to your own opinions also. But this is just two Nagas just sharing their opinion.
Even the families, their economy is being destroyed. If there's an alcoholic in the family, the amount of money you're spending on buying alcohol, spurious alcohol, at a higher rate,
True.
which is making your life shorter. You know, there are a lot of things that gets affected. So when you legalize things, then when there's plenty, people will say, no, let me just rest for today. Let me go for a shot tomorrow, or let me take just a shot today, since it's available.
Exactly.
But as I said earlier, you know, the more it becomes
Banned
or restricted,
yeah. The urge
there's more charm in it. No?
I totally agree with that. We just touched on it a little bit also, but you know, the syndicate factor. It's I don't know if everyone knows, but I think a lot of people know about the situation and that it does exist. To all the details, I don't know also the full details of how it works and all that, but that is also a big issue that's tied into this whole NLTP Act mess that we're in right now. Any opinions on that? Anything you want to talk about on?
You see, whenever there's any prohibition, there are people who will try to take advantage of it.
Definitely.
And these are a group of people, you know, those syndicates that we're talking about. And I'm sure these people, they have their hands on whatever politics that's going on.
Yeah, I would agree with you on that they are involved in maybe pressuring or
Could be
furthering their agenda.
Yes.
I think that's a huge possibility. Anyway, I think we have touched on quite a bit on this whole issue, but yeah, I'm looking forward to hearing other people's opinion on this also, like, you know, future guests that come in on this NLTP Act.
That would be interesting.
What about unemployment? Because this is a big issue in Nagaland, but you mentioned that this is something that you're quite vocal about also. So I just want to hear your piece on this.
What I personally feel is that unemployment, see, we Nagas, we think the only job is the government service. If every one of us goes after the white collar jobs, that is not possible. Any government will not be possible to accommodate everyone. You know, there are certain limitations. But when you see the world, how it's being run, it's the business entrepreneurs that runs the show.
True.
And in this aspect, I feel this unemployment is artificial. There are a lot of scopes. And I feel we Nagas have become so lazy that we are so comfortable with easy money.
100%.
We don't want to work.
The shortcut method.
Method. So when you have a lot of avenues to explore, for example, I'll just let you know. You have few chickens at home. There are stories, especially in other states. I've come across a story where an old woman, she had about 20 chickens, and she sells the eggs that she gets from the chicken to support her family and also support a church,
Okay.
give donations, rights. When people can do it, why can't we?
So do you feel that this sector, especially that since that you're in that field, do you think that like rearing of animals, livestock and all, do you think that's a big opportunity that we're missing out on? Because I was also very interested in this whole area.
See, if we study the supply and demand, especially in Nagaland, the supply is more. It outweighs. The demand outweighs the supply
by far. Yeah,
very much. So even if 10,000 people rear animals, we will not have sufficient products.
True. I agree with this because I never got around to it, but I was also interested in like starting a piggery, and I had done some work and like some project reports were made regarding this. Unfortunately, it didn't happen. I'm still interested in it though. But one thing I noticed was that the practices are very expensive here, in the sense like cost of feed, the availability of many things, and I don't know. I want you to expand further on this, but it seems to be like not like a loss, but it doesn't seem as profitable as it should be. What is your
Yes, in one sense you're right. The feed costs, that's one of the major
problems, right?
The major problems, or the major chunk of a project or expenditure in the project goes to feeds, especially in the animal husbandry sector. But when we look into how things are being done in Nagaland, we have very few people who are dedicated, who consults the professionals on how to go about with the things, and then consistency. We don't want to work, then we don't want to be consistent in what we do. We get easily bored, or we get easily discouraged on small things.
Right.
Unless you have such determination, and the rest can be sorted out. The problem, again, as I said, when you want to open up a farm, there are not many people who consult the professionals, especially the vets.
Yeah, that's
the biggest mistake.
That's a mistake.
We have seen many farms come up and they die. But in this area, I wanted to request our Naga people, whenever you have such kind of ideas, or you have the determination or a vision,
a plan,
a plan to venture into animal husbandry, I would suggest catch hold of
get in touch with you guys, right? Anyone, whoever it may be. Yes.
Then proceed with whatever we can guide you, and feed factor, we can help you with that, to reduce your cost, and how to rear things, and all those husbandry things.
Why is the cost of feed much higher here, or like why is that a problem? Is there a way that we can be producing our own feed also?
We can do that. We have been there are other farmers who are doing that. They have those people who have big lands, they grow their own corns. Especially corn is one of the major chunk in the
yes
feed
corn
components. Then, or you can get in touch with people from the hill areas, other districts. For example, Ezung, Qrafts, where they have a lot of corn.
But like the dry feed, in aspect of the dry feed, I mean.
That's what. You need corn, make those maize as a component in the dry feed.
Okay.
So when you want to manufacture or make the dry feeds, you need a lot of study or
research to be done.
A lot of things that plus minus, where you have to reduce the cost. Where that is the part where Nagas had failed. I'll be very frank with you. You see the amount of the Naga national groups, the way they levy taxes on the market. That is one big major.
Yes,
thing that
100% agree. Yeah. That leads to the
Price
hike
hike.
in all the
Yes.
price. Yes.
So this is one factor, but
That's and a very big factor.
Yes.
That is like we're aware of that. Yeah.
but there are things that we can go around and reduce the cost.
Yeah. Like
Yes,
growing your own
as
field, like
as
you-
long as you try to consult with the professionals.
But even if you do that, a friend of mine is rearing up. I mean, he has a small piggery, and we don't talk much. But I see his updates on Facebook and the regular complaints of our national workers coming to his farm for their donations and whatnot. So yeah, it is quite a tough task. I mean, I wanted to. Why I said like I was interested in the whole piggery potential of opening a piggery, running a piggery, was because obviously it's very evident, right? The supply and demand factor. Like we are. Do you know the numbers? Like how many tons or numbers of pigs we're importing daily from Assam, Bihar? The numbers are huge, right?
Very huge.
On a daily basis.
Very huge.
Do you have any?
And the state economy is being drained out.
Exactly. Again.
Yes.
Yes.
So, see, it's few hundred crores.
Mm.
We cannot give you the exact figure because that is not possible.
Yeah. Totally agree.
But it comes to about 300 crores
The
annual.
on what we're spending on importing.
Yes.
And this is just pigs or
Pigs.
just pigs?
Pigs.
Oh my god! And then
That's a
comes the
big
chicken. Yeah. Of course, that's a huge amount. And also the you'd know more, but even the quality of the pigs, right? That come. There are some stories
Yes.
that turns off your appetite, like Yeah.
There are issues in that. So that is why I want to encourage our, especially the youngsters, to to venture into this field where there are a lot of scopes. And before you do that,
Consult.
you consult, make sure you're consistent with your vision. No doubt you'll have a lot of hiccups,
Yeah, that's for sure. Like with any other
Yes.
business, also. Yeah.
but when it comes to components, I mean the feed factor, we can help out because I've been helping out few farmers by compounding our own feeds
Okay.
at a lower cost than what is available in the market.
What? So, like, for the unemployed who are listening in on the podcast, you have an idea that you can think about and try and pursue. But like Doc said, I think that the important part with any other business is also to do your research properly. Yeah.
That's the thing.
Yeah. So when it comes to this field, it's consulting people like you and other vets that will definitely help in preparing and to go about it, doing it technically right also. There's so many factors.
Yes, technical issues,
Yeah.
definitely. And I just want to take this opportunity to appeal to if any problem or if anything that you want to consult, I'm always available. My colleagues are also there who can help.
That's nice. I think I'll be in touch with you on this.
Definitely. Absolutely.
Still not sure. I'm still trying to work it out, but yeah, definitely it's still a part of my plan. But coming back to unemployment and how we drifted off a little bit, but do you think one of the main issues with, like how you were saying, that everyone wants a government job, like I feel like this, in recent times the younger parents the mindset is changing, but it's still existent to a large degree of how government jobs are put on such a high pedestal, like that is the jackpot, I'd say, like of all jobs. Like, so with no disrespect to anyone in the government service, but like that it's put up so high that like other options are sort of just shot off into the background and not given importance, or they don't fully understand the potential there also?
It has got to do with the mentality. See, I'll tell you one incident. I've been to the state of Punjab and Haryana several times regarding my profession, training and skill upgradation. I've met several farmers there during the interaction. I asked them, what do you do? And they said, they told me that they are farmers. But those farmers, they came to that meeting, to that training, in their Mercedes cars, Mercedes Benz. So that is how people work. People are, people out there, the farmers are
very wealthy.
And why they are wealthy? Because they are very hardworking. They are consistent with their work, and they put in a lot of efforts. And that is one area where we Nagas lack. So I wanted to encourage, see, when people can do it, why can't we? God has blessed us with so many resources, very fertile lands.
True.
So why, throw away the opportunities that you have?
I think you said it perfectly. It's to do with the mentality.
That's it.
Like, it almost sounds degrading for people to be called a farmer. Yes. It's very unfortunate, but that's the reality of it. I don't mind being called a farmer if I'm in a Mercedes Benz.
See, that was a thing. I initially wanted to become a farmer. Animal husbandry farmer. So I had ventured into, opening up a small farm.
Okay.
Then it went on. I was doing okay. But suddenly, because of the work, issues, official work, I had to compromise with that.
Okay. You give up that part of your...
let me do it in my later part of my life.
So that you're still keeping that in...
Definitely.
As an option.
I'm still interested. Given an opportunity, maybe after my retirement or maybe after a few years time, I still have that vision. And I'm very interested. That's why I keep on, trying to help people out, especially in the farming sector.
Right.
Anytime when they need. I get calls even from Tripura, Assam.
From like private farmers who
private
are running
farmers, big farmers. So I give them my consultations, advices through the phone, or through WhatsApp, video calls, whatever thing that is possible.
Right.
And I've been getting calls even from Manipur, besides our state. And several times I had calls from Uttar Pradesh, Bihar areas, those farmers.
Very busy and on high demand. But we'd prefer you to keep your valuable service for us Nagas.
Yes.
Because we lack, we have a shortage of experienced professionals. But regarding the whole unemployment thing, you said it a little bit earlier also. Our mentality, our lack of hard work, consistency, all that, and it's I think another factor is also dignity of labor, right? Like, this ties into that whole thing about the mentality about not being one to be called a farmer or be known as a farmer, but with other...
Yes.
We all know the...
we as I said, mentality, we Nagas feel farmers are the lower strata.
Exactly.
But farmers, they are the ones who drives the nation or the world. You don't have food on your plate, even if you have money. If there's no food to buy, what's the point?
Exactly.
So it's the farmers. So we should not feel that since I'm doing this, it doesn't degrade you. In fact, people, they will grow to respect you.
Yeah, but I think definitely the dignity of labor is an issue also, because when it comes to some certain fields like maybe barbers or auto drivers. Auto drivers, I'll leave that aside because there are quite a few Nagas doing it. But there's so many sectors where like we see it's only non-locals. Like we see not even one single Naga, you know, in that industry or in that sector.
You know, what is there? There's no shame in working.
No, I agree with that.
There's no shame. I'll tell you, I wash my clothes. Sometimes I cook.
I'm a bad cook.
Though most of the time it's my wife who does the cooking, but I do the cleaning part also. I sweep even my house. I clean my toilet. So what is there? What is the shame in working?
I think
You should throw that mentality into the dustbin. You know?
definitely it's high time we change that mindset, right? And
the progress, you have to throw that.
Yeah, and also like this show is all about positivity. Like I want to use this platform to like promote one another, like promoting you, promoting whoever next comes on, and I think we really need a lot more of that, like, you know, the positive energy going on around in our society. And I see a dangerous trend of like our people always trying to pull each other down instead of trying to prop each other up. So that is also a threat to us, like,
Yes,
and
absolutely.
that is a perfect segue to get into, like, you know, tribalism also. This is something that I keep saying, that it's an issue that it's a little awkward to talk about also, I guess, but it's a very threatening issue. Like, you know, like tribalism, it's can be a stumbling block. It can be, I mean, sorry, not a stumbling, it can be a hurdle to our aspirations as a people to grow into, you know, wherever we need to go. And we've seen in the past how its ugly head rears time to time, tribal conflicts, whatever it is. And what is your you know, thoughts on tribalism? Do you think it's that bad, or do you think it's not such an issue? Like, what's...
See, when it comes to tribe, you go anywhere, any part of the world where there are tribes, you're bound to see the tribalism, ism in that. And Nagas are not exception to that. Yes, I would agree there are isms. You see the number of organizations have come up. You know, the Tenimia on one side, the Central Naga,
the Eastern.
What is the benefit?
And on top of being such a small state,
Yes.
anyway, in the first place, right? Like,
Why? I would just wanted to question, why have we accepted Christianity in the first place? If we are to indulge in this ism, you denounce your Christianity. I'm very frank on this. Yes, there are issues sometimes, but I think we should come above that. You know,
right? And it plays into so many factors. Like, even one of the most important things that I feel it plays a factor in is also when it comes to distribution of portfolios for a cabinet. Now, we all know this, right? Like,
absolutely.
we can never even imagine a scenario where, like, whoever Mr. X is CM and not even one Angami is a minister, or not even one Awu is in the cabinet, right? There'll be like riots or something happening. You know, it's like that also affects, like,
Why isn't my tribe represented?
Yeah, all that will
All
come
those
into
factors.
yeah.
I think, as I said, we should not be in that period anymore. It's high time we come out of this if we are to progress as a family or as a society.
Yes,
And this is one of the major factors that is pulling us back. You know, one tribe gains a little
upper hand.
The other tribes tries to
bring them down. Yes, I 100% agree with you on this. It is one of the biggest threats to our people as like. How do we go about changing this whole tribalism factor that's in our state?
See,
I mean, it's a very deep and
Yes.
long question, complex, but just
personally, see, I would say, as I've already said, why have we accepted Christianity? What does the Bible say about
our neighbors.
Our neighbors. How we should live with others. Are we doing that? Don't we think we are hypocrites?
True.
Yeah, sure we are. I think the Bible doesn't teach us to bring divisions.
I think
This is one of the factors I feel that Nagaland is not
progressing.
as well as God is not blessing us so much. I'm very strong on this.
For me, this is like besides like corruption, and this is one up there, like the biggest threats to our society, our people. And like I always say, it's very good. You should be proud of your tribe, be proud of your roots, and where you come from, and that is there. But the fine line is that you shouldn't be stepping into like crossing across. Is that when you're trying to degrade another tribe for the benefit of yours, and likewise, like
Let us not be like the Qrafts.
Yeah, the famous
Yes,
exactly.
That's the thing.
And unfortunately, that is the present scenario of our people, right? We are the crabs in the bucket or the well, so to speak. Yeah. I was just mentioning that corruption also. It's unfortunately it's rife in our land, all throughout the whole system. And besides corruption, wherever it may be, there it's everywhere. But I want to just ask you on particularly on the election system. I've had this question. I've thrown this question at all the guests, and I want to keep asking everyone because we all know how the election system works. To be very frank, we know that the muscle power, the money power, and outrageous amounts are being spent for people to try and get elected. How can we change the system? And before I get your answer, I just want to just like, for example, the new party, the Rising People's Party. I just had the president of that party, Joel Naga, come on, and their approach is that they're going to abide by the clean election campaign. They're not going to spend money. They're not going to indulge in those practices, booth capturing, this, that, whatever, which I fully support. I think that's a very noble cause.
Yes.
But I asked him also the same question, is that this is a very good cause, but how are you going to get in when we know that the system that exists in place is that you have to spend money, you have to use muscle power? So I want to know your like thoughts on this.
See, the first thing is you and me, we should stop taking money from the politicians.
100%. There's many other ways to earn money. So
yes, so
leave that alone.
That is the first thing that you should be doing. Once we do that, the rest will come into place. If I contest an election, if I end up spending 10-20 crores, I'm bound.
It's common sense that you're going to recover that money.
So why keep shouting if you don't get those facilities or services once you have taken money during the elections?
Yeah, like you said it before, very hypocritical we are. And I keep saying this, is like the moment you take that money, you've lost all right to complain for the next 5 years.
That's the thing.
Yeah. So why are they still taking money is the main question.
It should start from the grassroots. Then things will open up.
Yeah, because
the first thing is people stop taking money.
We've seen in the past, like many people have tried this approach, clean elections. I'm not going to be spending money. I won't indulge in this. Good people, very good people, and who would have made, I guess, very good leaders also. But unfortunately, none of them have fared well so far. So it's very discouraging also. But
very discouraging.
That shows the stark reality of where our, like the system that's in place right now. Just want to come back to your life as a vet. Just what's your okay, besides you, I know you're very busy because you're juggling your government job and your private clinic as a consultant. But what do you do in your spare time? What's something that keeps Dr. Michael entertained? Music, sports, reading, whatever.
Yes, I have quite a number of activities at home. I have 2 boys who keeps me busy.
Very busy, I'm sure.
Then I listen to music to relax. Then I delve into the happenings, some other books, whatever, historical books, or because I'm really interested in military history. So
Military history.
I keep
Okay.
reading those books now and then, even though I'm not able to finish in one go. So I keep doing that. Read some books, read newspapers, magazines, then listen to music to relax.
To wrap up the episode, I have the small segment. It's called The Message.
Okay.
So, you've seen the Nisi episode. Okay, anyway, I asked you to give 3 messages. The first message is to your friends or your family. You can name names or you can just give a general message. The second message is to people you've lost touch with. So like an old classmate, an old friend that you're not in contact with anymore. And the third message is to the Naga people in general. If this was a platform where the 2 million Nagas are listening to you right now, what would your message be to them? And we just wrap up on that.
First of all, just like to thank God for all His grace and blessings till date. He's been so gracious. He has kept me alive thus far. And my family, my parents, who had believed in me, who had supported me. Then my wife, I would like to thank her so much because she had to sacrifice even her job. She was a medical officer in the Department of Health and Family Welfare.
Okay.
She had to resign.
Big sacrifice.
Yes, big sacrifice. She had to resign to take care of the family because I was always on the move. And without her sacrifice, I would not have come this far. So I would like to thank her also for everything. Then all my family members, my brothers, sisters and cousins and auntie, uncles, they've been very supportive of my career and whatever I do. So I'd like to thank all of them. And not forgetting my friends. Though we don't keep in touch with, I don't keep in touch with many of my friends over the years, but it doesn't mean that I've forgotten them. Once in a while, sudden messages. Not very often, but I would like to thank them also. You have been part of my life, wonderful journey. So just ask God that all of you will be blessed. And
a message to
the message to our fellow Nagas. First of all, I think we should not forget God. That is the most important thing. Yes, He has blessed us a lot, especially the Naga family. If it's not for God, the God in the Bible, He would not have brought us this far. He has blessed us so much, given us whatever we require, and as a family, Naga family, I think we have forgotten God in this journey. But I think it's not very late that we come back, give him due share of what he has to get. Thank him enough. So if we do that, I think our state would be a better place. And on the human side, besides God, I think we should be more humble. I feel Nagas have a lot of pride and ego issue. I think that we should do away with that. Then we should, work harder. I see a lot of people lazing around, playing with their mobile, playing games. I think that will not solve the problem. But you focus on what you need to do in life. Dedicate yourself, introspect, stay focused on your vision, and most importantly, you take God along with you.
Okay.
I feel if you do the rest, if you don't take God along with you, I'll tell you, you're not going to make it. That's my personal experience.
I agree with that. Yes.
So I hope you'll all be blessed with this message.
Thank you for such a wonderful message. Like I said, this show is about positivity. It's also about giving people their roses while they're still alive. I always say, and I feel that we need to be, all the praises that we talk about the person after he's dead and gone. It's like we should be doing that when they're still alive. Acknowledging them and thanking them for whatever service they're doing or whatever impact they might have had on your life also. So thank you for that. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's such a pleasure. That's a wrap.